SunTV. I'm Clint Franks with Deanne Campbell, and we have a little bit of interesting weather news right off the bat. Deanne, tell us about that.
Well, this morning, Clint, the emergency management folks from the county and the elected officials will be meeting in Butler to talk about Tropical Storm Nate and how that might impact our area. Apparently, they're expecting it to become a hurricane when it gets back out in the Gulf, and we are in the cone of possible impact from the storm. Going to learn more about that later today. I think Governor Ivey is declaring a state of emergency just before this takes place so that we can have things in place to go if we need them.
One thing to note about that, this will not be Katrina. I know everybody's still a little bit, that is the storm of note. This will not be Katrina. They're talking about a Category 1 storm, but you still need to take it very seriously.
Well, we do have threat, since we're in this area, of some winds and heavy rains, and so the meeting today we'll talk about how we're going to prepare, and we'll be doing some updates posted on our website and on Facebook when we learn more about where the storm is going.
All right. What else do we have breaking?
Well, you want to talk a little bit about what happened last night? Sure,
I'll talk about that and give you a little bit of a sports update. If you missed last night's South Choctaw Patrician game, we carried that for you live on SunTV. You missed a barn burner. Went right down to the wire. Patrician, they got an 18-13 win over South Choctaw. South Choctaw spiked the ball inside the 20-yard line, spiked the ball on fourth down. But South Choctaw had a lot of penalties, a lot of miscues. But the Saints were able to capitalize on that. And Blake Reed had a great game. Jacob Beck had a good game for South Choctaw. These two teams, look for them to meet again in the playoffs. That could very well happen. And I will say this: I expect that to happen. Right. In the college ranks, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Auburn takes on Ole Miss over at Jordan-Hare. On the Plains, Alabama takes on Texas A&M out in College Station, Texas. I believe that one's on ESPN. The Auburn game, I believe, is on the SEC Network. And now for Friday Fun Day.
Yeah. Well, a few weeks ago we talked a little bit about some of this. We talked about a little bit about marriage, and we had a little fun talking about how to deal with your spouse and that sort of thing. Today we're going to add to that just a little bit, and we're going to also talk a little bit about the fun experience of raising children. Which you don't really know a lot yet about, but I'm sure your wife does because she's actually raising you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's well, whatever. Tips on marriage for men.
Yeah.
Love this. Women won't start an argument with a man if he's cleaning.
Because we're not fools, and we know that might not happen again.
That's right.
So we better take advantage of it and let him finish up while he's at it.
And there's also this: if we clean something up, and I'm guilty of this, I'm going to go and, hey, baby, look, don't worry about that. I took care of this. I clean up one thing, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. She's cleaning up the whole house. But only two things are necessary to keep one's wife happy. First, let her think she's having her own way. And second, let her have it.
And the only thing I can say to that last part is amen.
That's true.
However, you skipped one of these.
I did, and I do apologize for that. Hold your wife's hand in the mall, because if you let go, she'll start shopping. It looks romantic, but it's actually economic.
Well, that works both ways.
It does work both ways. We always gripe about our significant other going off and going shopping. Hey, I can shop with the best of them. The thing is, men, we go spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a cooler. I don't, and then we want to talk about our spouses and things like that. But let's.
Well, in my situation, I could shop all day long and come out with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because I'll carry it around for a while and decide, do I really want to pay for this? No, the answer's no. And Tommy will really make fun of me because when we go shopping, I come out with nothing. And after hours of it. Because he says I'm too much of a cheapskate.
I'm one of those. Melissa can go out and go shopping if she wants to. I don't care. Find me a good, comfortable place to sit down. I don't care. If we're at the mall, I'm going to the food court. I'll find have at it.
Clint, answer me this. How is it that a man can sit in the middle of 100 or so people walking around him in the mall, all this noise, all this going on, and sleep? How in the world do you sleep sitting straight up in the middle of a mall?
I know people.
It happens.
It does happen.
My husband is a king of that, and I've seen other men do that, but I bet you've not seen a woman sitting in the middle of a mall asleep.
Absolutely. Let's see here. When you're wrong, admit it. When you're right, shut up.
This is a good tip for men.
That's true. But I like...
Yeah, that's good.
Now, this is low here, and I don't see how does this happen. And it goes for I'm going to add something to this. The best way to remember your wife's birthday is to forget it once. Same thing with your anniversary. I don't see how does that happen.
It don't happen but once. Just
No, it don't happen but once. Okay.
Well, now this is the one right here that says, the only time a woman, now this is a good tip for women who are about to get married. So y'all ladies who are not married yet, or you might be in the near future, think of this. I hope you're not thinking that you're going to change that man.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. Because this says that the only time a woman really succeeds in changing a man is when he's a baby. And that's probably pretty true. It tends to get worse. Whatever that ails you before you're married gets worse.
I will add to this. If we're sick, we got a cold or something, we're out.
Oh yeah.
We're out. Your spouse on it, especially I've seen my mother do this. I mean, just like death reincarnated, and she's boom, 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 boom. And I don't get that, but okay, Miss Dean.
Now see, this is something that you need to talk about too. This says that a man should marry somebody who can cook, because looks fade and hunger don't.
That's true. that goes both ways. Yeah, that can go both ways, but I agree with that.
I guess so. Yeah. Tommy's a much better cook than I am, by the way.
Well, if you're by yourself a lot, sometimes you ought to learn to.
The man can make a biscuit like you have never seen.
Wow.
And cornbread.
I got a new segment. We need cooking with Tommy.
Yeah.
The next time he's home, we need to have a cooking segment.
The problem is my biscuits taste good. They just don't look pretty.
They are. Well,
they look really rough. But his are pretty, and they taste good too. It was a memo thing he learned from his grandmother.
Now this right here, tips for maintaining your sanity while living with children.
And you really can't relate to this just yet, but other people out there can, and I know that they probably can add to this list. This says that when you have children, you should lower your standards and then lower them again. Because I don't care how meticulous your house is. If you have 3 or 4 children running around, it's really not going to stay that way. So you might as well not beat yourself up about it being perfect all the time. It's not going to be. But I can tell you one thing that with our children, and they'll tell you that this is a fact. We had a rule in our house that their bedrooms might have looked like a hurricane hit them at any given moment. But they did not leave their things in the living room or the kitchen. We just had a rule. If you left it there, it ended up in what we called the clutter box. I had a big box. If you left your stuff in there, it ended up in the box, and you had to pay quarter to get it out. It didn't take long for them to remember to put their things up.
I like this. Embrace the fact that your house will never look like a magazine spread.
That's true, but that's also true even when you don't have children.
That's true.
Because, of men.
This one right here, we can expound on this one just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You can never have too many popsicles in the freezer. It's a cure for bad moods. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, and so is wine.
Exactly. The popsicle thing in my house was more, it wasn't just popsicles, it was cookies. And I think that that's a bad thing. You know, after a while, I start, you know, after reading all these things, when you're a new parent, you read all this good advice, Dr. Spock and all of these people who know how to raise kids, because you really don't know what you're doing. And some of the things that they will say is never make food something that you give to a child to help them feel better. But everybody does it. Cookies are amazing.
Oh, yes.
Cookies work wonders. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I have slapped a cookie in a kid's mouth before because they were whining.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to admit
I'm
it.
39 years old. Put a cookie in my mouth. I'll quit whining.
All right, here you go. If you have boys, your bathroom will perpetually smell. And it's just a fact. But go on to read the rest of this little tidbit.
Invest in some Febreze and count down the days until they move out, and you can go visit them and pee on their bathroom.
Well, now, I have not sunk to that low yet.
Yet. I agree with this. Regardless, don't ever buy white furniture.
No, that's a fact. Don't buy any light colored furniture. If you do and you're a parent, you're really, I don't want to call you a fool, but you know what? You really need to reevaluate your decision, because even light color, it don't have to be white either. Beige, any of those light colors. The first week you get that, I can guarantee you there'll be some kind of juice or Kool-Aid on that couch.
And the kids aren't just immune, you know, dad.
Oh, yeah.
I like this, and I can. We don't have any children, but I do have 2 nieces and a nephew, and I can attest to this one. Noise canceling headphones are great for blocking out whining, bickering, and endless episodes of SpongeBob. I've got a nephew that loves SpongeBob, and one of my nieces, the Wonder Pets. You ever watch the Wonder Pets?
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over. Lenny, Tuck, and Ming Ming too. Oh my God.
You know, when my girls were growing up, it was Mary-Kate and Ashley. I'm kind of telling our ages, I guess, but Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were the big deal. They had all these little movies that they made, really, back in the day when they decided they were actresses. But I can't tell you how many episodes of those movies that I watched, to the point where I could sing every song. And those songs stayed in my head forever. And even to this day, we'll be somewhere with my daughters and all, and one of my girls will break out into a Mary-Kate and Ashley song, and before you know it, everybody in the family is singing these songs. It's just don't tell anybody that. It's just a family thing.
It's all right.
We sing Mary-Kate and Ashley, I'm sorry.
You know, it's like this. Me and Deanne were talking. I've got a little 3-year-old niece. No, she's 3 now, but Frozen. She's Frozen, and I want to watch Elsa. I want to watch Elsa. She'd tell me to wet it dough, Uncle Twint. But anyway, when a 2-year-old wants you to watch Frozen, no matter how big and bad you think you are, you sit and you watch Frozen. I actually got to where I like to watch Frozen, but I'm like, child, how many times can you watch? I mean, over and over and over. But
and going back to Mary-Kate and Ashley, there was a song in particular in that bunch of movies that was Brother for Sale. And we had 1 boy and 3 girls. Don't you know that was the favorite song in our house? They sang that to him perpetually, Brother for Sale. And the song starts out, Brother for Sale, only 50 cents. Then, as it goes on, since they haven't got a buyer for this brother yet, they drop it down to a nickel eventually.
Good Lord.
Then at the end, they decide he's not for sale after all, so it was all right. But they sang that song to my son Kip.
Kip would be
over and over and over.
Let's see here. Your children will not die from eating the occasional hot dog or frozen pizza. And by occasionally, I mean more than you are really willing to admit. Oh, good Lord, we eat all kind of hot dogs growing up.
Well, we did too. But you know, today a lot of families are into more healthy foods, and it's a good thing, and fresh fruits and all. But I can guarantee you, even those that are into healthy food, they'll sneak a hot dog.
It's also called whatever mom and dad can afford for the week too,
exactly.
and convenience. You know,
right.
My mom's a school teacher, and you learn whatever was in that rival crock pot. A lot of times, that's what was going to be supper.
And I can tell you, in our family with meals, I always tried to fix something, have something on the table that at least everybody liked one thing that was on there, and I didn't have this little pouty kid with complaining about they didn't like this and didn't like that, because there was something on the table that they did like. But and there were times whenever I wanted to say, just like my mom and daddy did, I cooked it, you eat it.
Cooked it, you eat it.
Yeah.
You got two choices, either eat or do without.
Exactly.
Cleaning while kids are in the house is like brushing your teeth while eating an Oreo. Just don't do it.
We just got a message from somebody that said one of the tips was that, sometimes you're just too tired to keep your kids from eating off the floor.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you who that came from.
Okay, but I will say, I can attest to this. What you were talking about, parents that they got one child, and you read every book in the world, and you're protective of this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it changed.
By the second or third, or if you've got really big families, by the time the third one rolls around, you let them juggle knives in the middle of the floor. It just doesn't matter.
Well, there's a commercial like that with I think it's a diaper commercial where it shows the first parent, and they're so meticulous about every little thing, and then by the time you get another kid and another, it's totally different. In fact, at one of those commercials, it shows the couple bathing their child, both of them there, mom and dad, in this little baby bathtub, very worried about every little detail, and then by the end of the commercial, they're throwing that kid in the shower. It's true.
It's not going to hurt them.
So now, Clint, of all of those tips for parents, which one do you believe is most shocking to you, since you are not a parent? Is there something about that shocks you that parents would do with their children?
I'm still like the ones with the timeouts and go sit in the corner and things and stuff that's not necessarily on here, but nothing really surprises me. Not with this.
Well, you do have nieces, nephews.
And I kind of think about how we were raised. I mean, it was.
Yeah. What did you do? What about taking kids to church? We had this conversation a little earlier today about what to do when your kid acts up in the church.
And I want my dad to see this one. Ronnie Franks. He had a little game he would play with you and I'm gonna clean this up. But if you were acting up in church, a lot of times you get the look. We talked about the look. Old school parents will give you a look.
That's
Grandparents will give you a look. My dad would reach out, big long arm, and he'd thump you in the ear. Now, if that didn't work, and I can count probably the number of times I was spanked by my parents on probably both hands.
That answers a lot.
Well, it probably does. But the one that I can very well remember was acting up in church. There was a zero tolerance policy in that. And I put it like this: my dad gave me an attitude adjustment, and I promise you to this day that you wouldn't see me in church doing something
there was an older deacon in our church we weren't related to this man, but he took it upon himself to ensure that children didn't misbehave in the church pew. And if he was anywhere around you, whenever you were acting up, he would grab your ear and twist it.
Oh my goodness.
And I bet you every kid in the church when I was growing up got their ear twisted by that man at some point. And nobody, that was back in the day when you could actually discipline somebody else's child and not get arrested for it.
True.
But today, oh no.
Annie over here, she got one says she thumped her son Peyton in church, and he was a little bit out of sorts, and Peyton blurted out, "Why did you thump me?" While they were praying.
Hey, I can remember on Easter Sunday one time, I had, how you deck your kids out with all these Easter outfits on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, and I had gotten my girls these matching outfits and these matching little white purses, and they all looked just alike. That's really was strike one. I think they were not very happy that they matched, but they all had the little white purses, and they took them to church, and they all sat on the front row. I would play the piano at the church at the time, so I was on the piano and they were on the front row. And Tommy was, I believe, I believe he was actually preaching that day. Or if he wasn't, he was up there on the podium doing something, maybe singing, I can't remember exactly. But we were, it was actually taking up the offering time. And they were standing on the front, at the front pew. I was at the piano playing, and we stopped for the prayer. And they were up there, the deacons were up there praying before they took up the offering. And I looked over there, and I saw this struggle going on between two of my girls over one of those little white purses. One would grab it, the other would grab it, and apparently they thought that purse belonged to both of them. I don't know why they did, because they all had them. But they were doing this back and forth, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw this white purse go flying away from that pew, all the way over right in front of that podium where the men were praying. It flew all the way across there and landed right in front of the offering plate. You want to tell me what happened to those children when we got out that door that day?
Parental discretion is a
Oh man, I better not tell them. I might get arrested for child abuse. They never did it again.
I would imagine so. What'd you do? Get all three of them to make sure you got the right one?
Well, I saw which two were the culprits, and it's the two that usually were. So yeah, and you know who I'm talking about.
That could be another show. Old school parents versus new school parents. That could be, you know, but that could be another story for another day. Folks, keep an eye on the weather.
Yeah, that's right.
Tropical Storm Nate could become Hurricane Nate. Hopefully your favorite team will do well this weekend. Also this evening, only game in the county. Southern Choctaw takes on Leroy on the reservation, kickoff at 7 o'clock.
Great. We'll keep you posted about the weather. Have a great day. Thank you.